is, and it's so wonderful to come to India and see so many people. And I met someone just at coffee there who said that he was a developer and came into QA, asked him what he preferred, and he prefers QA, which is fantastic. And a nation like India has probably got more software testers than any other nation in the world. And I think certain countries, and certainly in England, where I come from, testers seem to be the poor relation. It's not seen to be a very interesting thing to go into, and we're not valued, and which I think is wrong. So I've sort of had a bit of a passion for a number of years now to try and actually improve the profile of testers, and actually to see what can we do to help sell ourselves to our stakeholders, how to engage with our stakeholders and demonstrate we've got more value and give ourselves more career opportunity. So that's a bit of background really as to where this has come from. So I don't really have to say too much about who I am. I've been given the introduction, which is great. Why this presentation? I'd also give some background into that. Also, to give you an idea, I've actually not just been involved with testing and software testing businesses, but I've also been involved as a non-executive director of other businesses. So I've got quite a strong business perspective, and also just really on just related to the cricket, effectively involved in governance by being an elected member of a committee organising a professional cricket club. So I'm trying to bring to bear some of those experiences here. And I've done a presentation before, actually a more technical one. How does your testing measure up? So that's a clue as to the linkage between testing and business, okay, measurement. So a quick overview. I'm going to actually start with looking at some concepts of how does a business measure. Really, really high level things, and hopefully things that you might well be familiar with. So I'm just going to define some things about that, and then I'm going to look at how IT fits into that business measurement framework, and then testing and sort of how testing fits into that, looking at comparison of some principles of testing and business. Look at as a tester, what should I be doing? Should I be exploring avenues open to me, and maybe finding out a little bit about what is the business language? What language does the business speak? How can I speak that language? So firstly, how does a business measure? Has everybody here, who's heard of scorecards, business scorecards? Performance measures, performance targets. If you haven't, then, and some of the concepts that I've listed out there are behind the use of these performance measurement systems. So the idea being that you can take a high-level business strategy and translate it into a whole series of actions that the business is going to conduct in order to meet the strategy. So the concept is it drives behaviour, helps you measure the outcomes, links all the actions to the strategy, etc., and critically it gives control, control of the business. So if you've got a big business and you've got thousands of people in there and lots of activities and actions going on, you might want to make sure they're all coordinated and you're in control of them all, and you have a dashboard at the top of the business to, say you're a pilot flying a plane, then you have a lot of controls there and a lot of measures to actually make sure that you know what's going on in that plane, and you can control that plane, even though there might be hundreds or thousands of little small subsystems and mechanics that are actually helping you fly a plane. And also, the whole concept as well is that you've got a feedback system, so you can actually see what's going wrong, where it's going wrong, and actually come up with ideas to improve processes and performance. And you might have heard some of these terms in testing actually, so there's a link here already. So just a real quick picture for you. Is that familiar to anybody? Is anybody familiar with that picture? No? Okay. If you look at a scorecard, basically, this is a very typical one. It doesn't have to look like this, but businesses are measuring themselves from different perspectives. So at the top financially, you expect everybody at a business to measure themselves in terms of how much money they're making, their profits, their targets for profits. But also, there are a number of other perspectives that you might want to look at.
Might not all be completely focused on making the most money they can today. That might seem strange, but actually they might want to have an eye on the future to say, if we don't move here in 3 years, then and put some investment into our learning and development, we might not be able to make any money in 3 years' time. So businesses are having to look at setting their strategy according to a whole series of perspectives. And written here, for every perspective, you're looking at really a number of objectives. So what are our objectives within those perspectives? And I'm not sure you can read that, but basically there's a series of objectives, measures, targets, and then initiatives. And I'm going to go on and explain that a little bit more. And I'm going to use a small example here. So effectively, these are the 4 perspectives that we're looking at: financial, customer, internal, and learning, and some objectives within each of those perspectives. And there's a sort of cause effect here. So, for example, you know, if I have flights on time and I have low prices, I might get more customers. Okay, and so these are linked into, and in fact, you end up building whole maps of these in terms of strategy maps, linking these together. And then and this is an example, for each one of these, we have an objective. Well, this objective, sorry, that is the objective, of course. Then here are some measures that I've set: my on-ground time, my on-departure time, my targets, 30 minutes, 90%, and I kick off an initiative to try and achieve that, which is called the Cycle Time Optimization Program. So that's just to give you an idea and a picture of how that thing, you know, might actually work, and an example. And I'm going to come back to that later, actually. So here's I've just got a few diagrams really, and this is where it gets a bit more generic and conceptual. So objectives, measures, targets, initiatives. That's some constructs of a scorecard. So I'm looking at some English terms here. Why? Objectives, why are we doing something? The measures and targets, what it is we need to do. And the initiatives, how we're going to do it, or what we need to achieve. And these things can cascade, because clearly you have some top-level measures and targets and initiatives. If you've got a huge organisation with many divisions that are going to actually implement those objectives, you're going to have a lot of sub-objectives, and you know, one person's somebody's initiative to actually put that. Let's go back again. So you know, that initiative there, the Cycle Time Optimization Program here, will kick off into maybe a whole series of projects to actually achieve that. So you have these cascading whats and hows, and that builds up this scorecard. And typically you get this one-to-many. So, looking at it simply, if we've got our goals and objectives for a business, and we've got operations, we link them by the measures and targets. Okay, so that helps us actually to link what's going on down at the bottom of the business all the way up to what's going on with the strategy. Does that make sense? Okay, and as I put on the bottom there, you know, these things are complex. You know, so big companies have huge systems and many people measuring these things to actually help. You know, the executives in the boardroom have their dashboards so they can see what's going on, make their decisions. So that's really real high-level view of the sort of business